And then when I went back to long jump that next year, then all of a sudden I just started hitting big personal bests and getting better and better. And then I hit the standard a lot quicker. I was like, oh, dude, this is my ticket. And then I was like looking at the other marks. I was like, oh, dude, I'm number 1 in USA right now. And I still got a lot of room to improve.
She's awesome.
What a sweetheart.
No, she's been my PT for like 2.5, 3 years now.
Really?
She's great. Yeah. She's
Dude,
great. Her and Brandon are awesome.
Yeah, you're like, dude, 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, bro, but these conversations are flowing.
Yeah, it's flowing, and I feel like we haven't even talked about the Paralympics yet.
No, but I'm like, man, we don't need to rush into anything. I'm like, this is the kind of content I want to do.
No, bro, my passion is like, I love telling people stories. I think our stories are like our testimonies are like the most powerful thing, one of the most powerful assets we have. And if I can be a platform to like share some of these guys and gals stories that people don't get to connect with outside of like post-game interviews and, I don't know, spotlight moments. I feel like it's cool to like hear the come up and hear like where people came from. And it wasn't always, it wasn't always good. There were hard times and,
Bro, I agree. And like for me, I know like growing up, I loved sport documentaries. I loved seeing the athletes' journey, their struggles, behind the scenes, like everything going on, because that makes it relatable.
Yeah.
You get to like see who they truly are, and you get to like decide if you're a fan. And most oftentimes it made me like the athlete more because you got to see the struggle. And when you see the struggle and the triumph, you're like, dude, let's go. Like the warrior inside of you is like, I can relate to that. Or if maybe I haven't done that, like that's how I want to be, Yeah. Like we all need someone to look up to or like learn something from someone.
Role models.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I love like what you're doing, bud.
I appreciate that, man. So let's get to Rio. Let's get to the lead up to Rio. I feel like you've been telling me a lot about this 400 meters, but is that what you were doing? Well, at what point did you transition to long jump, or is it like you just do all these events every time you compete?
No, yeah. So I really liked the 400 meters, and I really liked the 100 as well. But I just was I think more naturally better at the 400, and I was willing to put in the work. So I transitioned in 2000. So after I made the national team for the 400, then it was like, now I started working with the coach. He's like, you're going to train for the 100 and 200. I was like, all right, sick. Let's do it. And I liked the 200 a lot too. That was like probably one of my favorite events as well. And so we started training, and I was in Georgia for 5 months, and our coach was in Arizona. He was working with a group called Altus. And I remember we had spent I spent a weekend out there one time. And then this is before I moved to Georgia. And I remember coming back and I was like, dude, I learned so much in that weekend. Like I learned more in that weekend than I had learned in the past year of training, because they were just on the next level, and the coaches and their training style and what they were teaching me. And so for me, I was like, dude, this is profound. Like this is where I need to be. And I was like, all right, so I'm training out in Georgia, 5 months, but our coach was in Arizona. And I was like, dude, I need to be with my coach, because whenever I'm there, like I'm getting feedback right away. How
did that work with your coach being in Arizona?
Dude,
and you guys being in Georgia?
Yeah, I didn't like it. We would just like, me and my buddy, we would kind of just help each other out, and we were trying to figure everything else out. But the thing was, we didn't know all the like exercises for the program, so it was kind of frustrating a little bit. But we made it work, and the cool thing was you had someone to push you. And so Jared had a lot of connects in Athens, because he actually ran track for Georgia his freshman year, and then he became an amputee. He had compartment syndrome, and so he was still training there by himself, and he had access to the gym, and he got me access to everything. So I was like, dude, this is sick. Like this is, an amazing school. They have great facility. So it was fun, but it was like so cold. I was training there in the fall, and I was like, dude, it's as cold as snow, but it's not snowing at all. So I was like, this is kind of miserable. So
you're a Southern California boy.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, we go to Barrow to go snowboard, but you know, I'm living by the beach.
Yeah.
So we
So do you go to Arizona then? You're like, this isn't working. I'm going to Arizona.
Yeah, dude. I told him, I was like, well, I was praying about it for a while. So I was like, dude, what am I going to do, God? And I was praying about it. And I talked to the coach. And I was like, dude, can I come down there? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, I need to figure out where I can live. And then I found out that my cousin lived down there in Mesa. And I was like, dude, do you have an extra room available? He's like, yeah, I'm about to in a few weeks.
Wow.
Like someone's moving out. And I was like, no way, God.
Yeah.
And so I was like praying about it. And then I was like, dude, I'm going to Arizona. Like the door's open.
Boom.
Yeah. And so I told my buddy, and he's like, well, I'm going to miss you, bud. You know, obviously I don't want you to go for selfish reasons, but dude, I support you. I'll see you in the competitions kind of thing. And so I flew out one of my other buddies to help me pack. We loaded up my F-150 and drove from Georgia to Arizona, like all in 2 days.
And this is in 2012?
No, this is
13?
so this is 2015. So 2014.
So this is right before the games. This is getting...
Yeah, it's getting close. So 2014, yeah, I made my first national team standard for the 400. Then I got the new coach, and he was like, you train for the 1 and 2. And I was training out of Georgia. And then I was like, well, my coach is in Arizona. I want to train
That's
there.
crazy to me, though, that you would be on a national team and wouldn't have a coach, like, in person. You would be like, you'd be doing it on your own.
The plan was for him to come out to Georgia like once a month, and we would come down to Arizona, something like that.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. He wasn't coming out to us, and the only way we were going to do it is if we went out to him. And for me, I was like, well, dude, I got to do what's best for me. If my coach is there, I want to be with my coach. And so I made that decision, and I went out and trained with him, and I learned a lot.
Did the national team not pay for you guys for you specifically to be in Arizona?
No, so they just give you like a stipend, and it wasn't much at all. It was like, dude, it was like less than $1,000.
Wow.
It was like $500. But for me, I was like, dude, this is sick. I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really supporting my career. Like it was earlier investments in life that were helping me pay for everything. So I moved down there. I'm living with my cousin, and I'm training in Arizona. And then it was like one of those moments where I was progressing all year, getting fast in the 100. Like I'm running 11 mid. I'm running 22 8 in the 200. And I go out to nationals. I do great in my prelims, like feeling super relaxed. And then the 100 just got tight and didn't execute to the best of my abilities, and I like placed like 5th. And I'm like, dang, dude. But I kept training because I had a meet in Europe, and so I was training for the 100, and I was still like moving, running fast. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call one day. I'm in like my first week of off season.
Mm-hmm.
After that meet, I'm like, dude, off season hit. We're going to the beach. We're chilling. And coach calls me, the head coach, performance director, and she says, like, congratulations, Trenton. You've made the world championship team. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, an athlete dropped out of the 200 meters due to an injury, so that's your slot if you want it. I was like,
because the top 4
it's
qualified?
Top 3. So, or it was top 3 in the alternate for the 4x1. But usually it's like the same guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, typically top 4 like as a alternate.
And you had placed 5th.
Yeah, I got 5th, and it was like one guy dropped out, and then another guy dropped out.
So 2 guys drop out, and now you're on the world team.
Yeah, for the 2, and then she calls me back in like 2 weeks later for the 1. And I remember my coach is like, dude, he's like, God ordained, bro. He's like, that's
so forget the beach. We're back to the track.
Yo, dude, I was like, I told my friend, he's like, you got to get back training. So I was like, all right, we're leaving tomorrow. So I packed up my F-150 and drove back to Arizona. And I got stuck in the sand too, dude, on the way back. Like we went to go help these people, trying to be a good Christian.
Yeah.
I see these people stuck in the sand, like we're off-roading a little bit, and we go to help him, and we get stuck for 6 hours.
On your road trip?
Just to Arizona.
Yeah.
We were stuck in the sand longer than it took us to get to Arizona.
Sheesh.
And it was getting dark out, dude. No cell service. Had to like walk down to a gas station that was a few miles away. Finally call like the only place I could find that was open. And this guy had this like big dually and his winch, lined it up to my truck and pulled my truck up the sand. I was like, no way, dude. I was like, one, never driving a two-wheel drive again and always having a winch. So that's why I got the 4Runner.
Let's go, dude. That 4Runner is nice, by the way.
Thanks, bro. It's been fun just like building it. It's like cool. It's like the AR-15 of cars or 4Runners.
I know, dude. You got like the nice little top rack with everything. Got the tinted windows.
Dude, just in case you need to put the boards up top.
Yeah. You're always good. So you get back to Arizona, and how much time is there before the games?
So this is before the World Champs. This is in 2015, and this is like I think I have like a month to train.
That's it.
Yeah, but I felt like
you were already in a good position because you had just competed.
Yeah.
So it was just tuning up.
Yeah, it was, if anything, maybe that rest was like good for my body.
Yeah.
And it like the first week back was like, all right, like kind of felt like a little bit rusty. Maybe it was like 2 weeks off. I don't know. But I remember like the third to fourth week, I was like, oh, dude, I'm moving. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And it was my first World Champ Games. It was out in Doha, Qatar.
How'd it go?
It was good. So I made both finals.
Okay.
So that was great.
How many guys are there like to compete against?
Is
there like a lot of athletes that are in your division where it's like pretty competitive?
It's super competitive in like the 100 meters and the 200 meters.
Yeah.
And we used to compete where it was single leg amputees and double leg amputees in the 100, 200, and 400. But then
they're all grouped together?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Now they split us. Now it's the bilateral amputees, double leg amputees, below knee. They have the 400, and we have the 200, and then we both compete in the 100.
Okay.
So what they did was, once there was enough people to fill lanes, they split us. But before it was like three heats, and you had to be the top, like it was like top to qualify essentially.
Yeah.
Or a little more. It was like top, I don't know, 3, or it was like top 2 automatic qualify and then next fastest.
So these guys, you've been competing against them for years.
For years, bro.
So every time you line up, it's like the same.
Yeah. And then like some guys have like fallen off, like some guys like, you kind of get to see like how mentally strong some people are too. Like how determined are they? Is this really their dreams and ambitions? Like if they don't make a team, are they willing to work through that mentally and physically continue to come back and train? And so you find like the guys that are more resilient stay.
Yeah.
But I've met a ton of people that have like, I've seen a ton of potential, and sometimes they just life happens and they just decide that's what they would rather focus on.
So you reach the finals then in that world championship, and then does that qualify you for Rio? No.
So here's the other thing. It was my first 4x1 team. We got silver. We would have won gold, but we had a bad handoff in the last hand. But that was sick. It was so fun to compete
at the world championships.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And we have like, it's on YouTube and stuff, but 100 made final, 200 made final. I PB'd in the 100 meters. So I was like, okay. I knew I could have ran faster though.
What'd you run?
11:43.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was good, but I had like, sometimes I was like, dude, I'm capable of a little more. So it was one of those like bittersweets. Like, all right, you can't be mad at yourself. You just ran better than you've ever ran.
Yeah.
Clocked. That's legal. And then you're like, okay, I know I'm hungry though. One more. So, but we went out, we got a silver. I was like, cool, got my first medal. Let's go on. Let's get ready for Rio. And then the thing is, in track and field Paralympics, you have to perform every year. You're not automatically guaranteed like national team status. Or making the team. And to make the team, you have to go to nationals and you have to hit the standard and place top 3. And we have the highest standards out of all the countries. So we're the hardest team to make. And we're, I think, the most competitive, the most stacked.
Dang.
It's fun though. And I think my category is the most competitive category. We have the most guys.
The single leg?
Yeah. Well, single and double leg amputees. Yeah, below the knee. Yeah.
Where does long jump come in all of this?
So it was something that I tried when I was at community college, and then I started doing it again at Azusa. Actually, I did it towards the end of the year when I was training in Colorado. When I came back here, I was like, dude, let me get back in a long jump. And I started PBing, and I was like, dude, it's sick. And it's always fun when you start progressing an event, and you're like, I like it more.
Yeah.
And I was doing it at Azusa, and it took me time. Like towards the end of my time at Azusa, I started like kind of clicking a little more. And then when I went to train with Altus out of Arizona, the coach was very much like, we're going to focus on sprints. Like, that's it. And I told him that, I want to get back in the long jump. And he's like, okay, but let's just focus on sprints. And so we did that for a year. And then when I went back to long jump that next year, then all of a sudden I just started hitting big personal bests and getting better and better. And then I hit the standard a lot quicker. And I was like, oh, dude, this is my ticket. And then I was like looking at the other marks. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm number one in USA right now. And I still got a lot of room to improve. And so I was doing that, and I just kept focusing on that. And I continued to sprint when I was in at the trials for 2016.
Yeah.
So I did the 100, didn't make it though, didn't run very well, but went out and won nationals for the long jump. And I hit the standard there, so I was chosen. And I was like, dude, that was my first team. I was like, let's go. And I knew I had...
What happens if you win and don't hit the standard?
Then it's discretionary then. Then it's if the coaches want to take you or not.
So the U.S. could just not have a participant in that category?
Yeah, they've done that.
Just because they're like, you're not even going to come close to...
Well, the thing is, our standards are so high that you would still be like in the
contention.
Finals. Yeah, and
they just don't want to make the investment.
Dude, I think it's just political.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little. I think things are starting to change a little bit where there's more discretionary spots.
Yeah.
But in the past, it felt like it was more like political. Yeah. So it's unfortunate for the athletes that have experienced that.
So you only qualified. Hit the standard in the long jump for Rio?
Yeah, and I could only compete in that at Rio.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested, like, in the long jump, is it advantageous to have...
A prosthetic?
Yeah. So like a spring? Because I saw you jump off the prosthetic.
Yeah. Dude, oh, yeah. Oh,
how far do you jump?
25 feet.
And what do they jump in, like, the Olympics?
26. Yeah, but
so you're right there.
Yeah, that's a goal of mine is to be, competing with those guys because I do compete with them throughout season, but I would love to, qualify for able-bodied nationals and just let's look at more science and data and let's look at what are the advantages and disadvantages and so far the advantages are obviously the most obvious is takeoff using a blade, but the problem is too though is it takes time to learn how to use a blade and figure out what blade to use, the angle that you have to put the blade at, like so that you can maximize it and not take away from your run. And it's not as straightforward as like, oh, dude, you got a blade, you're gonna bounce out of the pit.
Yeah.
Because it took me a lot of time.
Sure.
And I had broken my left foot my first year in track and field when I was long jumping, and I was long jumping off that. And so for me, it was a decision to jump off something that if it breaks, I could replace. So I started jumping off my blade, and I saw that the world record holder was doing that. And this guy can jump 26 plus feet. This guy's out there.
So if you went and tried, if you do get to the point where you're jumping 26 feet and you can compete with these guys in the Olympics, would they say like, that's cheating, you can't do that?
Well, I'm sure they're going to for sure. But for me, I'm like, well then, cool, let's talk about it. Let's get some more data. Let's study it because for me, here's the other thing, like Oscar Pistorius did when he competed in the Olympics in 2012, and he was the only bilateral amputee. He was the only amputee that I've seen ever compete, like be fast enough to qualify.
Yeah.
And competed in the 400 meters. And then for the 4x400 meters, for me, that was so powerful seeing that a guy with a disability had overcome the disability and learned to run faster. And so the thing with him, he had to go through all these testing procedures of like what height he could run at, what blades he could use, like
Mm.
stiffness and everything. So it was really, really cool to see that, because he was like, dude, I don't, if I'm at an advantage kind of thing, then, then I don't want to compete here, but I'm fast enough. So like, let's just see. And he would still compete at the Paralympics too. So for me, like what he did, he brought a lot of great awareness to Paralympics and what people can do.
Mm.
And you see that like this guy was he was a stud athlete. Like just because you had two prosthetics doesn't mean you were just going to be as fast as him, because there was a lot of other people that had two prosthetics that weren't as fast as him. So,
You know what that reminds me of is the story of the 4-minute mile.
yeah.
And when there was such a long period of time where nobody could break that 4-minute mile, and then a guy did it.
Robert
and then,
Bannister.
Yeah. And then shortly after, people just started running sub 4 out the yin yang. And it's like when you see somebody like do it, I feel like your mind goes to a place where you see more possibility.
Now you got high school guys running that.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with like running 9 seconds in the 100 meters in high school, dude. Now you got some high schoolers that can do that. And that's insane. But it is like about like if you believe it's possible, you're much more likely to achieve it. And if one guy can do it, so can other people, And so that was always my attitude. And that's my attitude with long jump. Like there's this guy, his name's Marcus Rem, and he competes for Germany. He's won the able-bodied nationals in Germany, and for Olympics and Paralympics. And he's
as a para athlete.
Yeah, and so then they banned him from able-body, but he still competes in Paralympics and other big meets that they allow him to compete in. And he's my biggest opponent, and he's like just paving the way. And he's just awesome guy too. Like if you talk to him or meet him, like just a humble guy, easy to talk to and ask questions. But he's the guy that like he figured it out, and he has been performing consistently over 8 meters. And so you're like, okay, it's possible. And there's I think that it's only going to be a matter of time, and probably more amputees competing in these events to just take time to figure it out and be dedicated to figuring it out.
So have you dropped like the 100, 200, 400, and you're just doing long jump now?
So I've been competing in the 100 and 200. So like last year for Tokyo, I actually competed in the 200 and I got disqualified. I touched the line with my foot. Well, I would argue that I didn't touch it, because if you look at like I zoomed in and it doesn't look like my foot touched, but it was so close. And then the other thing is like, dude, if it's that close that you have to question it, is it really an advantage?
Yeah.
It's not like my foot's over. Like it's not clear. And so, I got disqualified for the 2, but the long jump is my main focus, but I like sprinting, dude. I'm competitive. It's one of those things like, dude, if I could compete in the 100 meters,
sure,
and the 200 meters and be really competitive and like win a medal or be fighting for a medal, then yeah, I want to do that.
So you obviously made improvements from 2016 to 2020. You got, I think, 4th in 2016, and then you medaled in 2020.
Yeah, in long jump.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
So what are your goals like moving forward? Are you training for is the next one 2024?
Yeah, Paris.
Okay. Paris.
Yeah.
And that is how much longer do you think the body can go?
Dude,
how old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay.
So my body's hurting.
Yeah.
It's hurting. So I'm like, I would love to go to 38. I would love to retire in LA. That's my goal. Like, 'cause that's hometown, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm going to figure it out. I know it's a lot of resting more and try to minimize practices, not to killing myself. It's more like it's got to be high quality and training smarter, not training harder. So ideally, you only practice when you can really execute, and you try to do that as many times as possible throughout a week. So I had learned that at Altus, working with one of the best coaches in the world. His name is Dan Paff. And when it came time to like getting close to competition season, he would give us what's called a 3-day rollover, where you have 3 days of workouts. One's an acceleration day, one's a speed day, and one is a speed endurance day. And if you're long jumping, then there's jump days in there too. But you need to decide based off what your body needs. That's, you choose what workout you do, and you do it as many times as possible in the week. But you can take as much rest as you need, and you only practice if you can execute high quality. If you can't execute high quality, go back home and rest. Wait till you can. So I had to learn at a young age that training and executing was much more important than dogging it out like I had taught myself to do.
Well, you had fallen in love with the 400 meter because it was about dogging it out.
Yeah, and I had developed that mentality in wrestling because I had a prosthetic, and I decided that I needed to train twice as hard as everybody, all my teammates and everything, because I'm at a disadvantage.
Yeah. So what are like the parts of your body that like hurt the worst? Is it like your biological leg?
Yeah.
That like takes most of the...
Yeah, it takes the most beating. Yeah, so like my foot's hurting right now. My SI joint starts to hurt a lot. I have a herniated disc in my L5S1, so I can get...
Is that because your hips always out of alignment?
I have to get them like adjusted, and I have to make sure that I'm doing a lot of good core work so that I'm not compensating. So I have to do like a prehab routine before I practice. Okay. And it's like a lot of spine movements, like hip hinging stuff, and I had to learn a lot of this stuff to stay healthy because I had in 2019 I had sciatica so bad. It was like practice, sciatica, rest, compete.
Wow.
Practice, sciatica, rest, compete.
Mentally, did you feel ill prepared?
No,
like when you couldn't practice?
No, it was just the hunger to practice. Like for me,
that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
It's like I just feel like I want to be doing more, but it's like maybe not what I should. And like the work-rest balance is always an issue.
It is. And it's, it's tough because like you want to grind it out like you did when you were younger and when you could recover faster and stuff. And you obviously feel like the more work you put in, the better you get.
Yeah.
But I was like, during that year, it was tough because I felt very prepared. I was jumping far.
Yeah.
But I kept getting injured. And so for me, I'm like, what's going on? And it was a spine issue that was causing my hips to be, I wasn't getting enough extension. So I'm starting to externally rotate in my hip to try and get more extension. And now my foot's hurting. I had like ankle impingement too. And the nerve stuff was like, dude, it's bad. Have you ever had like sciatica?
So I've had some like low back stuff from playing baseball, but I've never had sciatica where I had like nerve pain.
Yeah.
Or referral pain.
Well, any back pain in general is like, dude, if your back's really hurting, then you're like, you can barely move.
Sure.
So for me, it was like, 2020 was actually, during COVID year was a blessing in disguise for me because I was training. I didn't stop training. Yeah. I just found out where I could train. And so I'm working hard and I'm getting in really good shape. I'm strong. And this one day I'm doing these hurdle hops and all of a sudden my back just like locks up on my low back and I'm in Long Beach. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? I'm like, oh no, dude. So I'm like laying down, I let it like rest and recover. And I finish my workout. And then I'm like, okay, like I go to, do you know who Sports Science Lab is? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Gavin McMillan, he great strength and conditioning coach there. He was coaching out of there. I don't think he's there anymore, but it was at Irvine. And I go see him and he's like, dude, you're not looking good. I was like, no, my back's hurting. He's like, get in the Epsom salt bath. He's like, see if it feels better. Give me some workouts. And then he's like, dude, he's like, go rest for a while, see if it gets better. But it was like, I think it was like a month or two of where I could barely move. And usually like just resting, laying on my back, like it discs like decompress and stuff. He's like, you need to go get an MRI. Get an MRI. I found out I had a herniated disc. And he's like, all right, dude, you need to get on this McGill routine for your spine. And so for me, it's just been a process of like learning how to take care of my body so I can continue to practice and perform.
I feel like you're probably a model for a lot of young para athletes, amputee athletes. What's the proper term? Is it amputee?
Yeah, you can call it para athletes or amputees. Because I mean, there's a lot of amputees that aren't even competing, but like still weightlift and stuff, or like maybe they want to go run.
But I feel like you're doing a lot on like the discovery side of like, I don't know, body and rehab and like blade research and innovation.
Yeah,
and
true.
Dude, you're doing a lot of that and keep it up, bro, because I feel like some people are going to listen to this and they're going to draw encouragement from what you're doing with your life. And I don't know, bro. Keep striving for excellence, bro.
I appreciate that. I do see that as like a cool way to help some other amputees or people, because I am like a student of my craft.
But I guess what I'm trying to say, it seems like an emerging space. Yeah. Not to say it hasn't been around, but it seems like it's a growing space where people are seeing the possibility of, man, I might have lost a limb, but I can still compete at a high level. And people like you are paving that path for them to see and doing it at a high level and setting innovation so these companies can keep innovating and creating better quality products for these people to compete at the highest level. And you're pushing the envelope and doing that.
Appreciate
by the way you live. And it's been a long haul since that message you got in that hospital room.
Yeah.
That he's got big plans for you, bro. And
yeah,
it's cool to see him keep unfolding.
I know.
And I hope you're in LA in 2028.
Yeah, me too, man.
And I hope you invite me.
Yeah. Dude, if I can get you tickets, I will. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be so sweet.
That would be sick.
Dude, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
I've drawn a lot from this.
Me too, man. This is fun.
Yeah.
Are we ending right here? What are we doing, dude? You want to?
We can. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to that you have wisdom wise to lay on us,
bro? I mean, man, I think it comes out when you ask questions. You know, just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I think one of the things, actually, going back to you asking me like my body and stuff, and like how do I maintain and how do I still compete into 2028? One of the things that I'm passionate about and learning is nutrition. And I think, like, you look at Tom Brady, bro, like, this guy's got a lot of stuff figured out. Like, he still looks really young. He arguably looks better now than he did like, when he tried out.
I've seen the picture.
Yeah, so I think, like, you know, a lot of athletes focus so much on physically being in shape. And I think that's very important. And I think what's growing is more athletes' knowledge in nutrition, and how does that help us perform and stay healthy, you know? And so that's something that I'm constantly learning about, that I think will have a vital role in keeping me.
Do you do like paleo or any, like, do you cut things out specifically?
Yeah, dude, I've done so much. All right, so let's go down the rabbit hole.
All right.
All right, so when I was in college, I was doing pretty much like a nutrient timing. So I was doing a lot more like paleo style, but I was open, like eating rice and stuff. But I started juicing, like fruits and vegetables.
Sure.
I was like, dude, this is sick. Like, this is better than a multivitamin. This is awesome. And then I was doing like smoothies and stuff too. And then I progressed to doing, I read this book called Nutrient Timing by John Ivey. And it was all about primarily your macronutrient timing and how do you stay in the anabolic window. So how do you keep building muscle throughout the day? And I was like, dude, this is sick. Yeah, dude, I always want to be anabolic, bro. I don't want to be catabolic and losing muscle. So I learned about like timing your carbohydrates with your proteins and like
What's
how
the
to
guy's
switch
name?
over. John Ivey, Nutrient Timing. Yeah, cool book. Really cool book. So essentially, if you take your workouts, whatever, like if you have 2 days, whatever it is, but the closer you get to your workout, that's when you have majority of your carbohydrates or your higher glycemic carbohydrates. And then the farther away you get from your workouts, you go more to protein, fat, and less carbohydrates. And that was really cool. And for me,
post-workout.
Yeah. Well, like immediately post-workout, you actually want, he was saying, you want like something like higher glycemic. You want something to spike your insulin, and then you want a lot of protein so you can increase protein synthesis. So you can increase your body's ability to start the recovery immediately. So I thought that was pretty profound.
He's arguing that it does matter the time window after you finish a workout, like when you're getting these calories. I've heard that approach, and I've also heard that that's a myth and that it's all about calories in, calories out, and it actually doesn't matter when you take those calories in. Like if you get them 3-4 hours after, as long as you're getting the amount that you need, cool stuff.
Yeah, I think that the insulin spike and like with the protein synthesis is, you know, that's more important around your workout and recovering faster. But I mean, there's been times where I've experimented of like, what if I fasted after, or like you have meetings or you have something going on where you're like, couldn't eat, couldn't get a protein shake, couldn't get whatever. Yeah. But from my experience, like having the carbohydrates around your workouts, like especially after higher glycemic, get the insulin spike, maybe have like vitamin C or something, some type of fruit as well, and then having your protein. My experience was faster recovery and like more gains in the weight room. But then I started learning more about like paleo, and so I'm like, okay, cool, like I'm gonna cut out all this stuff, like no more rice, no more grains or anything like that. I stopped having dairy too, and I was having,
good man,
dude. I mean, well, I'm drinking it right now, but
yeah, you are. I cut out dairy, heavy whipping cream in the coffee.
Yeah. So I did that for a while, and I was feeling really good. And then I remember when I was preparing for Rio, actually, I remember my coach telling me like, dude, you need to start eating, like, I want you to eat like liver, like once a week. I was like, yeah. He's like,
it's the most it's the most like nutrient dense food there is.
Dude, yesterday I actually ate raw liver.
No, you didn't.
I have it on video, yeah. But it did not taste good.
Patrick, we have to get this video of him eating raw liver up on the YouTube feed.
Yeah, so
you just go to a meat market to get it?
Yeah, but I mean, ideally you want like all grass fed and raised,
sure.
You know. So that's the most ideal. But yeah, do
you use like a service to get that?
There's a good company actually that
what are they called?
I liked there's
Butcher Box?
You might be able to do it through Butcher Box. I don't know.
Okay.
But I live at the center, so like they have food there, and so for me, I go to like Daily Ranch. It's DA-LE-ranch, and they like you can order through email like your food and stuff. You can go pick it up at farmers markets.
Yeah.
But they're a local farming company. I think they have good farming practices as well. So I've been going to them, and I really like their meat. Like they have this ground beef with 10% heart and 10% liver. And you can't taste the heart or liver at all. And it's like the best burgers I've ever made. It's so good. Huh. And so I'm like, dude, that's a little hack right there, you know?
Yeah, I need to figure out how to incorporate the heart and the liver and these other parts of the animal that are the most like nutrient dense. Yeah. Have you like listened to like the carnivore?
Dude,
like,
so that's what I was going to get into. Yeah.
That's so funny.
So I'm primarily doing the animal-based diet right now.
Okay.
Like I know he was saying like he's not a big fan of like caffeine, but I still like my caffeine. So I'm gonna do some more research before I give that up. But yeah, I've been experimenting, and the crazy thing is like, so when I was doing paleo, I was doing spinach like ham, bro.
Yeah.
Like I remember learning about it's called ecdysterone, and it's in spinach. They found it in spinach, and what happens was like when the insects would eat like these plants that had ecdysterone, they would go through this like metamorphosis, and like they would change like bodies and stuff. And they found out that when humans consumed a mass quantity of it, they would build more lean muscle mass. And so the Russians were like taking and like giving their athletes like just ecdysterone. And so I was like, well, is there natural sources? Can I get this in food? And I found out you can get it in spinach. So I was like, how much do I need to have that naturally? And so I'm
you were sauteing the spinach down,
dude. I wasn't
loads of it.
Yeah, I was. So I found out it was the $5 organic.
I've got it in my thing down there.
Yeah, you have one of those a day.
Wow.
And so I would put that in like a morning smoothie, and then a post-workout smoothie, and like I would have like food too, like some good meats, and then I would have like maybe like as a dessert like some type of chocolate protein with it in there. But I'd consume that I was doing that for like a good few months.
Yeah.
And I was super like shredded. I was making a lot of lean muscle mass. And the problem was though, I was getting eczema on my skin, like around my hips, like where I wear like tights and like where things rub, and like your long jump and stuff, you get sand and stuff. And I was like, dude, what is going on? And so I was like seeing dermatologists and stuff. They're like, oh, it's like, what soap do you use? So I changed my soap, changed my laundry detergent. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, why do I have eczema? Like, I've never had it before, like never had it in college. And I was eating like a ton of kale and stuff too. I was eating all these green leafy vegetables. And I remember hearing Paul Saladino. And he was like, he was saying he had bad eczema as well when he was like doing jiu-jitsu and stuff. And he said it was so bad. And he was on the paleo diet. And then he took out all vegetables, and it went away. And I was like, let me try that. Dude, I did it and my eczema went away within like a few weeks, like 1 to 2 weeks, gone. Haven't had it since.
Is there a reason they
Yes.
drop it on me right now?
So, all right, I just started talking to this new nutritionist too, and she was like, I was talking to her and I was like, yeah, I've been doing the animal-based diet and my eczema went away once I stopped eating vegetables. She's like, usually that's eczema's like associated with like a nickel allergy. And I was like, whoa. I was like, you just reminded me of like a kindergarten when that was the only thing that I was allergic to. Like if I wore a necklace that was made out of nickel.
Vegetables are high in nickel or?
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't apply to all people, but for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was at the cafeteria the other day. I was like, you know what? I'm kind of like, dude, maybe should I introduce like vegetables again? I was like, well, before I do, like, let me look up what vegetables have like nickel in it. Broccoli had it, spinach had it, kale had it. It was primarily like green leafy vegetables. And this whole time I'd been consuming so much thinking that it was good for me.
But for you, it wasn't.
Oh, at least I was getting an adverse reaction, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was like some benefits, but to what extent?
Would you rather have the shreddedness from the spinach or the eczema?
Well, dude,
it's the trade-off.
Well, if you look at Paul Saldino, that dude's shredded, and he looks like all natural.
Yeah.
Like you look at Liver King. Have you seen Liver
Yeah.
King? That cat, I don't know if he's all natural.
Yeah.
But he's shredded.
There's questions about it.
There is. I know like tons
The
of people
big thing
talk about
is the plant toxicity and the idea that animals kind of filter that out when they eat it, and then we cook and eat the animals, and so the toxins and the bad way we do farming kind of gets facilitated out, and we then consume the nutrients that we need through eating the animal meat. One of my close buddies has been doing like the carnivore deal for a few months now. I'd say he's I don't want to call him a half in, half out guy, but like when he was with us, he would have like a Chipotle bowl and eat rice and beans. But he has since rescinded his position a little bit on like the carnivore. So I'll be interested to see. I think he heard a doctor maybe that went on Rogan and was like talking like the other side of it. There's always sides to it, but
I think it's good to listen to both sides.
Yeah. And I think what you said too about like the nickel allergy, like, I don't think any one diet is like pinpoint for everybody. Like everybody's body is unique and needs different things. And the fact that, you know, you can't consume these leafy vegetables because they have nickel in them doesn't mean that Drue can't or Patrick can't or somebody else can't benefit from them. And I think like, I don't know, one-sidedness isn't the way to go ever.
Yeah, I think, dude, you got to like just figure out what is best for your body. And the only way is like either you talk to somebody that's like crazy, like profound on like understanding nutrition on a chemical like level. The other thing you can do is you can take these like tests, like an all-cat test, like food nutrient, like sensitivity test, and figure out like, okay, why, you know, and kind of like problem solve, you know?
Yeah.
And that's been like, I've done that for a long time because for me, I was like, dude, like I'm going to try and my best to compete and have all these advantages that are within the rules. Like I don't want to cheat. So nutrition is one of those things that I feel like athletes kind of undermine. A lot of them do. Like at least in track and field, like I see a ton of athletes that are still lean, but they'll go eat McDonald's. They'll go eat out all the time.
It's crazy.
If I were to do that, I wouldn't look like them. So I know there's a lot of genetics, your ability to detox. Yeah. But for me, I'm like, okay, well, this is in my control. And this also like, it changes the way like your hormones, and you can switch on and off genes as well. And so I'm like, okay, like thinking of even like reproducing, like whenever I get married and stuff, like I want to try and be the like best. Sure. Like I want to reproduce something better. Yeah. And so that's why I like kind of, I don't know, it's just how my brain works.
Yeah. All right, bro, we got to wrap it up. So Patrick, can you go on? Me and you, we're going to continue this conversation offline.
Okay, cool.
Bro, appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.